Hello, I'm Steven,
And I'm Aaron.
and we've just seen
Wake
Wake
up,
Up
dead
Dead
man.
Man, new film that's out on Netflix right now, starring Daniel Craig, Josh O'Connor, Glenn Close, Josh Brolin, Mila Kunis, and it is directed by Ryan Johnson. So, a fire and brimstone preacher has been murdered in a seemingly impossible fashion. All arrows point to the kindly Father Judd, who maintains his innocence. Benoit Blanc is on the case, and he's out to prove not only Father Judd's potential innocence, but to find out who done it. This frickin' guy, man, he doesn't miss. This Ryan Johnson.
Nah, he's one of the best writers we have in the industry right now.
Netflix gave him a metric shit ton of money to make these two sequels, Glass Onion and Wake Up Dead Man, and he used that money responsibly.
Yeah, where you've got people like Adam Sandler squandering their Netflix deals to make mostly terrible films, like total garbage, outside of a few here and there. Yeah, Ryan Johnson is not phoning this in, and he's not phoning it in with this franchise. He's decided to kind of change and elevate the series, like with, every sequel. I don't know how he keeps this series fresh and keeps coming up with new things to do with it, but thank God that he has the writing mind that he does, because this feels like entirely fresh, but still like obviously in the same vein as the previous ones. But he's playing with completely different ideas and playing with the format even more than the previous movies.
And one of the things that's always astonishing to me about not just this series, but any great whodunit is how the plot is always very intricate and complicated, and there's a lot of moving parts. But when you get to the reveal, a lot of it is really simple.
Yeah, and that's kind of the I think the trick with these movies is that when he kind of breaks everything down for you, everything just falls into place so perfectly, and I could see how somebody might think that that's a little bit too easy and too neat and too tidy, but a lot of what makes these movies work is not necessarily the mystery, but it's the characters that he's putting in the mystery. And I think that's one of the things that he's even more successful at in this movie than in the previous ones is really creating interesting characters with really strong character arcs, even more than previous films. Like this actually feels like Judd has like a character arc and a journey he goes on. Same with Benoit Blanc. He kind of has like his own actual arc instead of just being the detective who puts things together and has the foghorn leghorn voice. He's actually like a kind of a fleshed out character here more than the previous ones.
The characterization is excellent and the performances are tremendous. Josh Brolin plays the fire and brimstone preacher, and I
Yeah.
thought, based on this film's opening 20 minutes or so, which is all just a prologue to his demise, I figured, I don't know why, naively, I thought that was going to be the end of him after the prologue, but no, he's present all throughout the movie through flashbacks.
Yeah, his performance, it's nice to see him do something like this. It's just totally different from things we've seen him do before, and he nails it. I mean, the other thing Ryan Johnson does a lot these days is kind of dives into politics and what ails society. The first movie was kind of a simple whodunit, but it had like kind of modern sensibilities about like technology and social media, and the next one was very much like the tech bro billionaire targeting Elon Musk kind of movie.
Yeah, the first film was also rife with themes about class
Yeah,
and
class, exactly.
and the true value of actual hard work
Yeah,
versus leeches who just tether themselves to the wealthy.
yeah, exactly.
And then the second film, much in the same vein, yeah, that kind of carries over to the whole tech bro thing. And then in this one, it's examining like faith and
Faith and
belief and
religious institutions and the corruption of those ideas for one's selfish gains.
and one of the fundamental principles of Catholicism that is often forgotten nowadays, forgiveness.
Yeah,
Yeah, and this is coming from two people who are not religious.
yeah, we're very much like non-religious, non-believer type people, and this is one of those movies that kind of validates the faith as something that can be a positive impact on the world if people use it a certain way, and that's very much Josh O'Connor's character.
Yeah, Father Judd.
He's great. His performance is like really, really tremendous. And the way he's written, he's a guy with a past he's trying to escape from. Like you said, the movie's about forgiveness. He's trying to move on with his life and he's trying to forgive himself for things that he's done in his past. He used to be a boxer and he accidentally killed a man in the ring.
Yeah, he killed a man in hatred. He let that get the better of him. And then on the flip side, there's Josh Brolin, who hate motivates everything he does, hate and anger.
You see a lot of that these days. Just people using the church and the religion to twist people for their own needs and to control them. There's a lot of talk in the movie about basically creating a bad guy and giving someone to fear. Make them afraid that they're going to take everything away from them. That's like very much the world we live in today, where like religion has been co-opted by psychopaths to make everyone live in fear of something.
And it also has a accurate portrayal of people who subscribe to a what is essentially a demagogue whose every action flies in the faith of the thing they purport to believe in,
Hmm.
but the flock, they'll go with it just because it's that guy. It's because, oh,
Yeah.
this guy validates our prejudices. He's pointing the finger at all the same people that we hate. Therefore, we pretend like his sins don't matter.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, that figurehead will be more than willing to throw his own flock under the bus when it
Yes.
comes to getting what he needs.
That is the other very accurate thing is that the demagogue they put their faith in has nothing but the lowest form of contempt for the people who follow them.
Yeah,
So it's a very good portrayal of the corruption of the faith. As far as the performances are concerned, this is the most I've ever liked Mila Kunis in anything.
I wasn't quite sure what to think about her when she first popped up because she's not in too many movies these days. So it was kind of odd when she appeared, and it was even odd like back when she was cast. I was thinking like, I'm not really sure about this, but Ryan Johnson, he knows what he's doing.
So many of her roles that I've seen her in, I feel like she can't break free of the Jackie of it all and the
Yeah.
Meg of it all. This, she actually felt like a different, more mature person.
Yeah, agreed. I liked her in the movie. She's like the police chief basically,
Yeah, yeah,
and
she's ready to throw the book at Father Judd.
yeah, and Benoit Blanc is there, like, hold on just a minute, let me investigate first, and you'll get your man.
Yeah, and of course, speaking of Benoit Blanc, Daniel Craig yet again is just doing exemplary work.
Yeah, this is the most interesting and most interested I've been in his character. This is like the best version of him, I think. Feels like he's got a little bit more age and kind of wear and tear on him. He comes at the movie kind of like yours and my perspective. Like he's very much the this is all hogwash, nonsense fairy tale books to control people and stuff like that. Yeah, the relationship between him and Josh O'Connor's character Judd is, I think, the major highlight of the movie.
Yeah, I love the insistence on honesty between the two of them. How Josh O'Connor's character is very accepting of Benoit Blanc's non faith. He'd be more insulted if he pretended to be anything other than what he really is.
Yeah, and just to speak about Ryan Johnson's writing again for a second, there's a scene in this movie involving a phone call that Josh O'Connor has with a side character, somebody who is like of no importance in any other movie.
Customer service, basically.
Yeah, and there's kind of a run-on joke that happens where he can't get a word out because this person is just talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. And it's like any other movie, this would be incredibly annoying because they would just never get to the point and just keep going forever. But then he turns it into one of the most touching moments in the movie where Josh O'Connor is like finally able to connect with somebody doing what he's, supposed to be doing.
Yeah, Josh O'Connor spends a lot of this movie trying to be what he is, which is a priest. He wants to help people, but he's overshadowed by Monsignor Wicks, Josh Brolin's character, and that's the moment where he really gets to shine. That's where he's in his element and he gets to flex his priest muscles, so to speak.
Yeah, because well, I guess we should set up why he's there. He punched like another father out,
Yeah, something like
and
that.
he's basically punished by being banished to this little wooded church town where this horrible priest has got like his little flock, and like you said, he's a fire and brimstone guy, and the parish is like kind of slowly whittling away, and everybody's leaving because of how horrible this man's words and conduct are, until there's nothing left but like his most devout followers.
Yes.
And Josh O'Connor's like desperately trying to reach people and trying to reach,
Anyone.
yeah, anyone, and he's just not able to. So like that scene with the customer service person where he's finally has like a genuine conversation finally with somebody to try to help them through a situation. One of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah, agreed. Even as far back as Knives Out, there's always been an element of heart in this, but this is probably the most these films have worn their heart on their sleeve. This is a really sweet
Yeah.
movie at times.
Yeah, it's really dark too. Like, this is easily the darkest of the 3 for a lot of reasons. Sometimes it feels like a full-on horror movie with the way it's shot and the way things are set up. I mean, it's a there's a lot of talk of religion, so there's a lot of stuff about God and the devil and Satan and stuff like that, and he very much plays with those images and those ideas.
Yeah, it comes with the territory, religion, and it's full of beautiful but also haunting architecture and imagery. So it works beautifully here, and it helps that Ryan Johnson and his crew know how to frame a shot.
Yeah, his cinematographer, Steve Yedlin, he's just phenomenal. Everything he shoots looks incredible. And there's so much creative camera work in this movie. There's times where it feels like a 70s paranoia thriller with like they'll have the camera like 100 yards away and then slowly zoom in on somebody until like it's like a normal close-up shot.
Yeah, the use of color in the movie, specifically red, made me think of Brian De Palma a few times.
Yeah, it's a really gorgeous movie.
The movie's 2.5 hours long. It did not feel its length,
No,
and
no.
it flew by. That's what you get when you have a director who knows how to make a relentlessly entertaining film. And also, it was also exciting.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is, I thought the mystery was a little less interesting than it has been in previous ones. I kind of had already figured out what I felt like happened when we're kind of introduced to the crime. I felt like there was really only like one or two possibilities, and it was just a matter of like figuring out how exactly it was done. That being said, like we were talking earlier, he focuses way more on the characters this time around that it's not really a problem.
When the characters are this good and this dynamic, it's
Yeah.
forgivable.
Yeah, did you feel like there was a wink link in the cast at all?
Not really, did you?
Not necessarily. I felt like Jeremy Renner probably could have been played by anybody else, and he didn't really get a ton to do anyways.
Him in this movie is kinda like Bill Murray in some of Wes Anderson's movies. It's like it could have been any other actor, but you know he's there because
Yeah.
Ryan Johnson just wanted to work with that
Yeah,
guy.
it's also funny because I don't know if you remember, but, like, the Jeremy Renner hot sauce joke in the previous one.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. I read about that. Evidently, Ryan Johnson was asked about that in a Q&A. He was, like, asked, "Was that a reference to the Jeremy Renner hot sauce?" And he's like, "No, I just really wanted to work with him, and I remembered I did that hot sauce joke. People might call attention to that, but then I decided, screw it, I'm just gonna hire
Yeah.
him anyway."
Who cares? He's not bad in the movie, but his character was the one where I was like, "Hmm, he's not as interesting as anybody else in the movie," and he probably could have been played by anybody else, really.
It's a very subdued role.
Yeah. I like Thomas Hayden Church a lot in this. I wish he had more to do, but for what he does, he's fine. He's got an interesting look about him, and he serves his role well. Glenn Close, very good in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I mentioned in our "If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You" review that Rose Byrne was the actress I've seen the most this year because of Damages and the other movies I saw. Glenn Close has probably taken that position because she is the star of Damages, and we not only
mm.
saw her in this, but we watched her in that shitty movie, The Deliverance,
Oh
from a few
god,
years
I
ago.
forgot we watched that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great in this. Just the dialogue and the writing all throughout this, I think, is some of his best writing when it comes to like characters and what they say to each other.
And it's consistently funny.
Yes, yes, which it's got to be hard to do in movies like this because it can, especially with the thematic material that he's working with, it can easily be played very seriously.
Yeah, and sometimes the comedy doesn't even come from dialogue. It just comes from just the little idiosyncrasies of the characters and just the way a character would react to a situation. It's like, yeah, that is what that character would do, and the way he reacts is
Well,
just naturally funny.
it, even something like what is like routine for certain people, like flipping a body over in a morgue, like it shouldn't be as funny as it is, but it is because I mean, what else are they gonna do?
That's where not only the visual plays a part in the joke, it's also the sound editor
Yeah,
that as the
mm,
body is flipped over like
yeah.
a sack of meat.
Yeah, just stuff like that. He's very good at finding the absurdity in kind of the world that he's created and not shying away from it. He's not afraid to get some laughs in there.
And it concludes with a Tom Waits song.
Yeah, that's always a plus.
So, what is your final number rating on a scale of 1 to 10?
I thought this was terrific. I liked it a lot. a lot more than I expected to. It's kind of a like a double-edged sword. Like I wish these movies weren't produced by Netflix because these things need to be seen in a theater with a crowd, with a
Yeah,
group of people.
that's the reason we caught up to this so late. I held off watching this. I think you and I both did in the hopes that maybe by some miracle we'd get a theatrical release here in our area, and we didn't.
Yeah,
So
never happened. So that's a bummer. But at the same time, like they paid him the money to make these movies, so we have them.
yeah,
So I can't complain about having two great follow-ups to that first one. And like we said, he's not being lazy. This is not contractual obligation for him. He's trying, and he's more than willing to play with the format and the characters and challenge it and change it and tweak it and evolve it. And I like this like a lot. I think this is probably my favorite of the three.
agreed.
Yeah, I think the characters are so good. The ideas are really interesting. It kind of feels like Ryan Johnson's Dogma almost.
I was thinking of that. It's I can't remember the last time I saw a hilarious comedy that examined faith and Catholicism since Dogma.
Yeah, it's where like Kevin Smith was kind of confronting the faith and his own beliefs and putting that on paper and then eventually on the screen. It kind of feels like Ryan Johnson doing the same thing. He's kind of examining religion and faith, especially in a modern context and how it's used today, and coming up with his own idea on how it should be used and what type of people we should have in these positions of leadership and influence and power. So there's a lot to like here. I really like this a lot. Definitely my favorite of the three. I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
Agreed, 9 out of 10. Yeah, I was really looking forward to this, and I wish we could have seen it in a theater. I think that would have been very rewarding. But I was pretty confident this was going to be good, and it exceeded my expectations. Actually, I would say this is even better than I imagined it would be. And he could stop it right here at three and just make it a perfect trilogy.
That's the thing is it's basically the Toy Story predicament now. Like I'd love to see another one.
Yeah, he could stop it here, make it a perfect trilogy, but if he does decide to do more further going on, I have total faith in his ability to deliver. He and Daniel Craig. So, Ryan Johnson, you're a gem. Keep doing what you're doing. If you want to make more of these, we'll look forward to it, but I am excited to see your next project, which, from what I understand, will be something altogether different.
Yeah.
So, that is Wake Up Dead Man. Definitely see it. And if you haven't seen the other two, watch all three of them.